Welcome back to another Sprinter episode, everyone. So yeah, cracking out this passenger side now. Driver side's all pretty much there. So yeah, onto this side. Got some hellish repairs to get stuck into on this side of the van. Not looking forward to this side of the van. This is the worst side, even though there's less panels this side. This is the worst side for repairs. So yeah, there was a lot more welding and a lot more metal work going on to do this side. I had to cut a big chunk of panel out on that last section of the sliding door rail. That was completely rotten away. That so yeah, we just had to cut that out and do the best metal work I could do with what I know. Because yeah, that is nothing. That's nothing I'm too skilled at. But yeah, we can get our way around easy enough. But I'd like to be a lot better at it than what I am. That's for sure. But you know, it's not. I'm not going to sit here and moan about it. You know, I've done what I needed to do on my own. I've not had to rely on anyone else, So that's the main thing here. And again, it's all me. It's all better for me to learn how to pick the welder up and actually have a go at it because it's not something again I ever do. So yeah, no, it's good. It's good to have a crack at it. It's good to learn new things as well. It's always good to learn new stuff. It's never a bad thing to learn something new. I actually enjoy welding, to be fair, but when I don't understand what I'm doing or can't do something well, I get really frustrated. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but obviously it's no one enjoys being rubbish at anything. But when I go into paint a job, I just like switch off pretty much because I don't really need to think about it now. I've been doing it that long that you don't really need to think about it sometimes. So yeah, but with welding, it's totally different. I've really got to process every step and think about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it because it just confuses me because I don't do it every day. I had to turn the lights off there because I knew how bad the flickering was going to be in this footage. I've actually sorted that out now with a new camera for new footage going forward. After a couple of episodes in, so there'll probably be another two or three yet because I'm quite behind with getting these out. So that's still going to be shot on the GoPro, unfortunately. That's why we're getting that flickering. Can't edit it out, but as soon as I change to the DJI cameras, there's no problem whatsoever. So yeah, big shout out to the local guy that helped me out with that. He's a real talented filmer slash photographer, whatever you want to call it. Does a lot of filming and stuff. So yeah, he gave me the information to sort that out. So I was really grateful for that because yeah, I've been pulling my hair out over that, wondering what I'm doing wrong, and swapping cameras has just changed it totally. So yeah, that's been a game changer. That. But yeah, all this is still shot on the GoPro, unfortunately. So yeah, that's why we're dealing with that flickering. So yeah, you see me tapping a few high spots down there. That's why I had the hammer. Could feel a couple of high spots in the metal. So yeah, I was just tapping them down. That's what you see I'm doing there. I can just feel them. The reason I know the high spots is because I'm breaking through there to bare metal, and everywhere else I'm still on like paint. So if you're breaking through in one spot down to bare metal, that should tell you you've got a high spot. You've got a high spot in the panel. That's why you're burning through all your layers of paint so quick. You should be burning through evenly everywhere as long as you're moving your DA consistently. But if you're just obviously keeping it on the one spot, then you're gonna burn through in one spot. But yeah, so that's what that was telling me there. So yeah, that's why I went and got my panel beating hammer and just tapped them high spots down. See if I can get away with not putting a skim of filler in them or not. See if I've tapped them down enough, but not too far. Obviously, I don't want to be putting big dents in the side of the quarter panel there because then I'm putting skims in anyway. But it's just knowing how hard to tap that panel without going too far. And again, it's being good at feeling. You need to be good at feeling with your hand, knowing if something's good or not. And that's not an easy thing. Like I still wouldn't say I'm any good at it, but it's you just something you just learn over time if something feels good or not. And if you can get away with not putting a skim of filler in it or not, that's when you really know what you're doing. You got a good feel, you got a good touch. Yeah, it's hard to tell if something's good or not. And by what I mean by good is I mean is it good for paint or does it need repairing? As in doesn't need a skimmer filler, because then obviously it's more time on the job, and if it might not need one skim, it might need two, three skims before that repair's any good. That's just the aim of the game, really. There's some hellish rust up that side channel there. I've got some hellish grinding to do in there and some belt sanding. Again, someone's already painted that panel because there's existing body filler and stuff in there, so that tells me someone's been in there before. Obviously, someone's been in there before because that wouldn't come like that from Mercedes. So yeah, that has been rotten away before, and someone's have the sides of the van flicked. So yeah, that was an obvious sign to me. Again, there wasn't too many dents around. It was just mainly rust more than anything. Again, I want to strip most of that white off on this quarter panel as well. But like I've done all around the van, I've gone to that extent everywhere else, so I'm pretty much going to do it on this quarter panel as well. Just makes sense. So yeah, getting as much of that paint ripped off everywhere as evenly as I can. So yeah, this is late in one night after work, so it's I don't want to be going too mental and committing to getting primer on because that's more of a weekend time frame, with how many hours I have in the day and how much I can get done and being more energetic as well. So that all plays into it. So yeah, I'm just wanting to get like that top layer ripped off and see how bad stuff is. That was my main aim here because I'm pretty sure the night before I started doing this, I'd just finished all my welding on the roof. Again, I didn't POV any of that, so yeah, I don't expect that to be anywhere because yeah, it's not that I haven't filmed it. It is that I haven't filmed it. I just didn't want to film it. I couldn't be bothered. Um, couldn't be bothered with any of the welding splat. I'm wrecking the GoPro or anything. And there's a lot of messing around with when you're welding. I can't wear a head mount and a chest mount. You wouldn't see it, so it was just kind of pointless. And I didn't want to set a tripod up or any of that nonsense anywhere because I'm just not into that. Um, unless it's POV footage, I'm really not interested. So yeah, I don't want to be on camera. I don't need to be on camera. That's not what this is about. This is about filming the job and showing people what goes into the job. Yeah, there's enough people filming themselves doing all that. Carry on. Don't need to be putting that on here. This is just all about the job and what goes into it. So yeah, I'm just ripping all this back with P180 grit. Getting that top layer ripped back, seeing where my spider legs are, seeing what I've got. Again, I was pretty shocked how bad this side was compared to the other side. Considering I have more panels on the other side, there was less rust. But on the passenger side, when there's only one quarter panel, and there's a sliding door opening, and then there's nothing between, not really a panel between the sliding door opening and the passenger door opening. So you've got one big panel effectively with loads of rust. So yeah, it's pretty annoying that, but it is what it is. So yeah, it's a long, slow process. This ripping all that paint back. People don't understand how long it does take. Again, you wouldn't have to go to this extent if the motor you're prepping isn't this rusty. I'm having to go to this extent because, again, it's a Sprinter and they just rust. And yeah, people know this by now if they're still watching how bad this van is for rust. It is really annoying, but yeah, if I was to buy another van, it'd probably be one of them man vans. I really like the shape of them. I don't like the shape of the new shape Sprinters. They look ugly. They're not, the swage lines and the body lines aren't sharp enough for my liking. They look too curvy and soft. I like real sharp, boxy, straight lines and square edges on a car or a van. Just look better to me. That's just my liking. It's just my opinion. Not everyone likes that. Yeah, just more aesthetically pleasing to my eyes in my head. So yeah, I don't like the new shaped sprinters if I'm honest. So yeah, if I was to get a new van, it would be one of them new man vans. Yeah, I just like the shape of them to be honest, more than anything. Don't know what they're like for rusting and rotting as bad, but yeah, time will tell. Time will tell. We'll see who's gonna guinea pig that when boys start buying the new ones, seeing how long they last. That'll be the telltale sign when they start going scabby or not. if they're just the same as Mercedes or not. 'Cause yeah, the crafters and stuff don't seem to go as bad, but yeah, I just prefer the Mercedes. Don't know why. Just do. The Volkswagen, it's the same van, different badge, but they're just more expensive, which is frustrating, really. I'd still say they probably do just rust just as bad, but yeah, they're just more expensive. The Volkswagen versions of the same shape van as a Sprinter. Don't know why. But yeah, enough moaning about that anyway. More moaning about this Sprinter. So this is Saturday now, on to the weekend, and yeah, I'm onto this side again, back at this. Got a repair to do there, I'm DAing now, so I'm just decking that down to bare metal, ripping that back with 80 grit, just keying that up for some body filler. Just got a dent right on the swage line, right on the body line there, so yeah, I want to make sure I get that mint, because yeah, you'll obviously, you need to make sure that that's mint, because if you haven't got all your body lines looking right and your swage lines, it's not look nice when you've painted it all. You know, someone that knows what they're looking at will be able to tell. So yeah, you want to make sure your lines are all good. That's really important when you're doing like a repair on a swage line or a body line. Always got to make sure that your lines are crisp and they're clean when you're blocking them and stuff. Yeah, that's one thing I'd always say. Something you got to make sure is what you just making sure you're using the lines and the contours and stuff, and making sure you're blocking it the right way and stuff too. So yeah, that's me putting a skim in it now, getting a skim in, and I'll get the reds on it, infrareds on it, and I'll send that off there so we can get rubbing it again. Cook it, get it hard, get it cured, and then yeah, we can get into ripping that back. Yeah, cut, cutting. I mean, grinding down some of them welds there. That was that section I had to cut out of the quarter panel. I had to cut that out and weld a new section in there. So yeah, I was just grinding some of them welds down flush. Just ripping that back down with 80 now on the DA, getting that ground up nice, sanded up nice, feathered, ready for some filler, ready for repair. Yeah, start putting some skims in and getting them blocked. I've just got some rust up there to contend with first. Again, someone's already been at that and put body filler in that previously, so yeah, I just had to rip all their filler out and go again. Obviously clean the rust out this time, not leave that in there. So yeah, I'm just gonna take that for. I'm gonna take most of that filler off with the DA because it's just generally easier to take most of it off, and then once it gets down to a certain level, I'll finish it with a block. Yeah, this just saves me time, a lot of time, and it saves my arms and my shoulders too. Just taking the first sort of layer off of the sander, let that do the work. As long as you know you've not gone too far with it, then you can finish it with your block. But yeah, I just take the most of that top layer off with the sander. It's just so much easier, and it is quicker. So yeah, there's no disadvantage to me doing that really, as long as I'm keeping the sander moving consistently. Because obviously you don't want that to dig in and start putting any divots or low spots in your body filler, and then you've got to reskim it and stuff. So yeah, you got to make sure you're keeping that moving and not destroying your edge too much where your swage line is. You want to make sure you're keeping that nice and flat and firm when you go in near that to not take it out or anything. So yeah, I just had a small repair to do on the wheel arch as well. So yeah, just guide coating it up now, and now I'm back to blocking it. So yeah, block it by hand. Always block your repairs by hand. Makes them so much better. Feather it all in nicer, and yeah, you just can't beat rubbing your repairs with a block and your primer, even if just that is the way to do it. Rubbing it all by hand with a block, flat, square, rectangular block. Crisscross patterns. Yeah, you know you're covering all bases. So yeah, with that guide coat, I can see where I haven't been and I can see where I have been. That's the perks of using that stuff. It's like a black powder. You put it on, you rub it on with like an applicator, and you can tell where obviously you have rubbed and where you haven't rubbed, and where your low spots are and where your high spots are. You know, if you rubbed through somewhere quicker before somewhere else, and that's still got the black powder, in it, well, you got a low spot there if the black powder's still showing. But if that's rubbed through too quickly, well, you've got a high spot. So it's not rocket science. It's just doing it and trust the process. Repeat the process and trust it. Just keep repeating it. You do enough jobs and you eventually you know what's what eventually. Just kind of learning with it and going with it. So yeah, I got a nice big skim to put in where I've welded that patch because it's just kind of warped part of the quarter panel. Not ideal, but not the end of the world. So yeah, I've just got a low spot going up there, so that's why I need to sort of skim it. And I've obviously got braces in behind for the inner skins and stuff. So that brand new vans are never fully flat. Like, don't care what anyone says on them quarter panels. You can always see the inner brace bars, and you can always see like lows and highs and the ripples in them, if you like. So, or the press marks from the inner skins, you can always see that. I see it on you see it on brand new vans. Like, I don't care what anyone says, they're not fully flat and perfect. So if anyone has a fully flat perfect van, it's probably full of filler because you don't get them. Like, I don't care what anyone says. It's not a thing. Especially vans that big. If you're talking small wheelbase, like transporters and stuff, then fair enough. But I'm on about like long wheelbase crafters and sprinters and vans of that size. You see all the press marks when you look down the big panels. You can see all the ripples in them, and they don't look good. But if that's what factory are happy putting out, then that's what they'll put out. They're not bothered, are they? It's a van at the end of the day, so it's mainly used for transport and stuff, goods, whatever. They're not bothered about press marks in the panel. So yeah, I had some hellish rot in there, so I had to weld a new plate in there. Had to drill a hole in that as well because obviously we've got to check later down the line that so this is what I'm getting to now. Check that our mouldings fit, so make sure I'm drilling holes in the right place. So yeah, it's always good to dry fit all that stuff before you paint. That's one thing I'd always say. Always spend the time dry fitting your panels and stuff if you've been welding and drilling and stuff might have moved, and always dry fit your plastics or bumpers or whatever it is if you've been altering shapes of body lines and stuff. Always spend the time dry fitting panels. If you don't, then you're in for a bad time when you've painted your job and you start fitting it up. You're in for some tears. Yeah, I've seen that before. So yeah, just take the time and do it. Like, it took me a long time to go dig all them panels out, come down back to the workshop, start lining them all up and messing around with them and drilling. But it was worth it because now I know they're going back how they should be. So yeah, just getting this repair DA back down now because this is going to probably take two skims. So I'm going to DA most of it out. So that's why I'm not touching it with a hand block yet. I'm not gaining anything by blocking that by hand at this moment in time. So yeah, that's why we're just DAing that out. Well, not DAing it out, just DAing it level with what I need it to be, and then I'll give it a final skim. Again, this side of the van was pretty hellish for repairs. Pretty annoying because there's less metal work and less panels this side. But yeah, this side's taking me longer to do, which is annoying, but that's just the way it goes. It's always the smallest panels or the smaller objects that give you the most headaches. Sometimes the bigger ones are just easier because they're just big, flat, easy objects that you could just see everything, everything's in front of you. This was all quite awkward stuff to do. Especially welding that panel or the plating where the sliding door rail fits to, because that was an awkward thing to do for anyone, but especially someone that doesn't have a lot of experience in fabrication side of the job like myself. I'm not a fabricator by any means. So yeah, it wasn't a fun weekend when I was in doing that. I was doing a lot of swearing, to say the least. A lot of sitting around and head scratching and swearing. But yeah, we got there in the end. This is more my bread and butter here. Ripping paint back on the sander. Just headphones in, tunes on, just flat out ripping paint back and just DAing and just sanding away. That is yeah, sometimes it's just nice to just switch off and do a lot of prep work and just, yeah, not really think too hard. You're not having to concentrate on loads of different things. You're just prepping away. And so yeah, I'm getting all my edges right now with the block. That's why I'm going to the blocks. I want to get my edges right because I've got a nice little it's like a nice little lip underneath that panel there where the sliding door rail sits. I have got a nice little lip, so I want to make sure I get that, rubbed back in with the block where I've just put that skimmer filler. So yeah, that's the whole reason for that. Your block will make nice crisp edges if you can use it right. Make sure you're rubbing it with the existing body lines and stuff. Just giving that a blow off, give it a feel, get the dust off it.